Imagine you're a Stone Age human. You live in a group of 25 people. You've known them your whole life. You've hunted with them. You've shared fires with them. Now imagine you fall in love. Your heart races. You can't stop thinking about them. But here's the problem. That person might be your cousin, or your half-sibling, or your aunt. No DNA tests, no Ancestry websites, no way to know. So how did they figure it out? The answer might be the reason we survived. In 2017, scientists sequenced DNA from 4 individuals buried at Sunghir in Russia. They lived 34,000 years ago. 2 children were placed head-to-head in the same grave. Scientists expected them to be closely related. They weren't. At most, they were second cousins. No parents, no siblings, no aunts, no uncles. These people, living in a tiny group, had deliberately avoided mating with close relatives. How? They had a system. Stone Age humans formed mating networks. They exchanged partners between tribes. They had rules about who you could and couldn't marry. They were doing this 34,000 years ago, before agriculture, before cities, before writing. They didn't understand genetics, but they observed the consequences. Sick children, weak children, children who didn't survive. So they built a system to prevent it. But here's the twist. These networks weren't just about avoiding inbreeding. They were about alliances. When you give your daughter to a neighboring tribe, you're not just finding her a husband, you're creating a bond between 2 groups. You're making friends instead of enemies. Neanderthals lived in small, isolated family units. They didn't have these networks. They interbred within their own groups, and they died out. Modern humans built communities, built alliances, built families across groups. We didn't outcompete Neanderthals, we out-networked them. Now, let's talk about cheating. In a small group of 25 people, someone's going to break the rules. How did they prevent it? Rituals, ceremonies, public recognition. Marriage wasn't private, it was a public event. The whole group witnessed it. The whole group enforced it. If you mated with someone you weren't supposed to, everyone knew. There was no DNA test. There was community oversight. Your every move was watched. Your every child was scrutinized. What happened if someone cheated? We don't have written records, but we know human societies have always punished infidelity harshly. Stone Age humans were no different. Exile, shunning, violence. The stakes were high. A child born from the wrong union could weaken the entire group. So they enforced the rules, brutally if necessary. Stone Age humans didn't have labs, but they had something just as powerful. Social memory. They knew who was related to whom. They knew which families came from which groups. They knew the rules. They remembered the ceremonies. It wasn't written down, it was carried in their minds. Passed down through generations, stories, songs, rituals. The information was encoded, not in DNA, but in culture. They knew exactly who they could and couldn't marry without any of the tools we have today. Don't imagine Stone Age humans as primitive or simple. They had systems, they had rules, they had networks. They knew the dangers of inbreeding. They built sophisticated mating networks to avoid it. They didn't have DNA tests, but they didn't need them, because they had something better. They had each other. And that might be the real reason we're still here. Not because we were smarter, not because we were stronger, because we learned to connect. Because we learned that survival isn't about individuals, it's about communities. Because we figured out that the biggest threat wasn't predators or starvation, it was each other. And the only way to survive was to build bonds that transcended blood. 34,000 years ago, in a small group of 25 people in Russia, they figured that out. They buried their children head to head. They covered them with ivory beads, and they left behind a message. We knew who we were, we knew who we weren't, and we knew that survival wasn't about keeping the bloodline pure. It was about keeping it connected.